The Barcelona round in Montmelo was supposed to be a turning point race for Ferrari's revival in the 2025 Formula One World Championship. The Spanish Grand Prix, although bringing the Italian side back to second place in the Constructors' standings, more due to rivals' shortcomings than Maranello's merit, proved that the expected leap in quality never happened. And Lewis Hamilton advises focusing on next year's championship. Looking at the championship standings reveals a paradox. Ferrari is second in the Constructors' Championship, having overtaken Mercedes by 6 points and Red Bull by 21, while Charles Leclerc is only fifth in the drivers' standings, 17 points behind George Russell ahead of him, and a full 43 points behind Max Verstappen, who is third. Lewis Hamilton is sixth, 23 points adrift of his teammate. The picture from the Spanish Grand Prix presents unusual hues. The Maranello team capitalizes on the placements of both its drivers, who are consistently scoring points, while Mercedes, due to engine reliability issues on Kimi Antonelli's car, and Red Bull, due to Yuki Tsunoda's slump, each brought only one car into the top 10. If we looked only at the numbers, Ferrari's staff might feel satisfied, since the double overtake restores the Italian side's position as McLaren's, unreachable pursuer. But when the analysis shifts from the sporting to the technical perspective, the tone changes. Dramatically. The weekend at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona was supposed to be the event that would reshuffle the pecking order. The introduction of new FIA checks on wing flexibility was expected to bring the SF-25 closer to the papaya-colored cars. The result, however, was crystal clear. McLaren, which acted in advance, debuted the supposedly stiffer wing already in Imola, as did Mercedes and Alpine, and in Spain they did not even declare any updates, essentially maintaining the same 3 to 4 tenths advantage they've held since the start of the season. Despite Ferrari bringing a completely new wing, with both different flexibility values and a design aimed at improving performance, the expected leap forward unfortunately did not materialize. It was a complete no-show. Charles Leclerc had sacrificed qualifying with only one Q3 run in the battle for pole position, hoping to capitalize during the race with 2 fresh sets of mediums, while rivals would have had to use, regardless of compound, 4 already used tires. But that strategy also proved ineffective. Without a safety car, Charles Leclerc would have finished behind Max Verstappen. The Monegasque, always very honest, admitted he got the choice wrong. So the idea failed. This is a Formula One competition that prioritizes track position, and sacrificing Saturday potential in the hope of a Sunday comeback ultimately does not pay off. As Ferrari team principal, Frédéric Vasseur, had even hoped McLaren could be challenged, although that was rather difficult to believe. At the Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Canada, after a week to reflect on the direction to take, one of the bridging races toward the introduction of the new floor and the much-hyped rear suspension should take place. Frédéric Vasseur expressed caution about raising expectations too much, stating that while Ferrari would continue pushing development, they preferred not to make any declarations. The French manager explained that some updates are visible and must be disclosed, while others remain unseen and do not require any announcement. It is a way of shuffling the deck that does not benefit Ferrari. And as the moment to introduce the upgrades nears, the hope that they will be impactful enough to change Ferrari's season seems to dwindle. Even within the racing department, the SF-25 is being labeled a flawed car, and while corrections may improve the situation, they won't reverse it. The car, thanks to its new layout, was supposed to unlock great development potential, but the facts show that aerodynamic evolution is progressing slowly and with little clarity, so much so that senior management, after the Imola round, had called for an acceleration in updates, believing them to be key steps toward Ferrari's resurgence. Now that confidence seems to be fading. Is this just another smokescreen, or is there growing awareness that this just isn't Ferrari's year? Lewis Hamilton seemed highly critical. The 7-time world champion has repeatedly said he doesn't expect any changes capable of altering the course of the season, suggesting it might be better to direct all human and financial resources toward next year's car. The Briton, after an initial infatuation with Ferrari, now seems disillusioned. The fact that Lewis is the first to steer Ferrari toward the 2026 Formula One project without wasting more time on a car that's failing to meet expectations supports the view that only Frédéric Vasseur still believes in the potential of the SF-25 single-seater, driven by his incurable optimism. We are now more than a third of the way through the season, and decision time is fast approaching. Barcelona was meant to be a turning point. McLaren are only visible through binoculars, while the race for second with everyone else remains wide open. Updates already planned and in development will arrive. But is it still worth investing in a car like the SF-25, whose limits have already been exposed? Frederick Vasseur certainly seems to think so. In this second part of the video, we want to focus on the management and reliability of power units, which risk becoming quite a strange issue in this final season before the regulatory overhaul. The upcoming changes will specifically concern the power units that will drive Formula One cars starting next year. With engine development essentially frozen for several seasons now, it seems rather odd that teams like Ferrari, and especially Mercedes, are reporting repeated reliability problems. That power units require continuous development and numerous checks at the beginning of a new regulatory era is generally accepted, but occurrences like those seen in the first 9 races of 2025 are truly peculiar. 9 races in, and the Mercedes power unit has already caused numerous problems, both for the factory team and its customer teams. 3 retirements in the last 3 Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli was stopped by an electrical issue in Imola and an oil pressure loss at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, while Fernando Alonso lost an entire cylinder in the Monaco Grand Prix. A wave of engine failures for the Stuttgart manufacturer. So far, only McLaren appears completely unaffected. Not to mention Ferrari, which, after the retirement suffered by Haas's Oliver Behrman and Sauber's Gabriel Bortoleto during the Miami Grand Prix, due to technical reasons, seems to have decided to manage the power unit in its 2 SF-25 cars differently, running with a less aggressive engine mapping. The situation is, to say the least, alarming. One might even say disheartening at Mercedes, and Ferrari is certainly on alert. But how much is there really to worry about? Starting from the basic premise that it is unusual to see so many reliability issues in the season preceding a regulation change, this raises another question. Is someone experimenting? That might be the case, it is just a hypothesis, but a likely one. From the 2026 Formula One Championship, new fuels will be introduced that will require combustion engines to operate under parameters very different from the current ones. It has been years since an F1 engine lost a cylinder. Perhaps the last time was Daniel Ricciardo's Red Bull in 2018, if memory serves. If there were other cases, they have been unheard of for quite some time. For teams like Mercedes and Ferrari, it would not be foolish to carry out such testing at this stage of the current season. McLaren is light years ahead in the Constructors' standings, and with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri seemingly only threatened by Max Verstappen in the battle for the title, it would make sense to push forward with 2026 development if there is already a chance to collect useful data in some areas. For now, we stress, this is only a supposition, but we will be looking into the matter more closely in the coming weeks.